So this is my opinion. Oh, then somebody asked me why Pius XII didn't say anything about the Jews. I said, but it's good. Because it will be terrible when we said something.
Yes.
Really. But we must remember that he helped many Jews during the Second World War. So, for example, before, in 1938, the Holy See prepared one document about the racism and anti-Semitism. For example, now it's possible to read that book because the book was published in French language 2 or 3 years ago. And in that book, in that official press official document, you found the Jews were enemies of Jesus Christ, etc., etc. Anti-Semitism is possible, etc., etc. Really, the Pius XII, so the Pius XII Pope was brought up in that theology. So the first one, and after the Second World War, so in 1948, some Christian and Jews met in small village in Switzerland, Salisbury. And they thought it's necessary to change something after the Holocaust. Perhaps the Christian theology, the Christian teaching repeated by 20th century helped Germany to prepare extermination. It's terrible when you think about it. It was necessary Holocaust to change something in Christian theology. But this is a question. For me, this is a very terrible question. So in 1948, 48, in a small village called Salisbury, 63 or 64 persons prepared one small document entitled 10 Points from Salisbury. 10 Points from Salisbury. What we can read in the document. The Jews weren't opposite to Christianity. The Jews weren't responsible for the death of Jesus Christ, etc. It's very discovered. But it was possible to say that after the war, because some Christians thought it's necessary to change something, and they prepared a document entitled "The 10 Points of Salisbury." And what happened after that? One Jew who participated in the meeting, Juni, French Jews, whose wife and children were sent to Auschwitz, decided to help Christians, really, to help the Catholic Church to change something. And what did he do? He took that 10 pounds and went to Rome. And he said to Pius XII, perhaps you can change something. Pius said, it's impossible at that moment, etc., etc. And the next pope was John the 12th. John the 12th, yes? And Jules Isaac presented the 10 point to the Pope John the 12th. And John the 12th answered, this is the church, this is the democracy. I must present the document to the Holy See officers. Perhaps we change something. And what began in 1962, the Second Vatican Council. And during that council, the 10 point was elaborated by some Christians and presented to their fathers participated of the Second Vatican Council. And they prepared a document entitled in Latin language, Nostradata. Nostradata. And that short, very short document have 5 points only. The fourth is about the Jews. Something more about the document. The first one is that the Jews were responsible for the death of Jesus Christ. The first one. The first point of the document. The second is necessary to collaborate with the Jews and to look for cooperation, to look occasion to begin the dialogue. The second point, and the third, very interesting, is there's condemnation of the antisemitism. There are 3 very interesting points of the document. And what happened after the Second Vatican Council? When we think about the official dialogue, between some Jewish organization and the Holy See, they began to collaborate, and they collaborate until today. But it was the problem, because the Catholic Church has this organization. But when we think about the Jews, they have somebody like Pope, somebody who is responsible for the Jewish teaching in the world.
They do.
For example,
Jews.
You think about the chief rabbinate in Israel, but this is only in Israel.
Yeah.
That is the official body, and we have 2 rabbis. The second one named by the government of Israel. Oh.
But you mean now or in the past?
Now.
Now.
In the past, after the Second World War. Because the chief rabbinate is not responsible for the opinion of all the Jews in the world. But what happened? Some Jews, for example, I don't remember his name, very popular in the United States, he protested with the Martin Luther King. Heschel, the first one, thought that perhaps it's possible to construct some organization which will be representative for the Jews. 1 or 2 persons from the biggest organization in the world, named by some big organization. For example, the American Jewish Committee sent 1 person. The World Council of Jews sent 1 person. The Union of the American Synagogue sent 1 person. The League, and you know the name of the League? Antisemitism? B'nai B'rith.
It's anti-defamation.
Anti-defamation was the 3rd. And they sent, every organization sent 1 person, and the Holy See named also 4 persons or 5 persons. And the work began in 1970. And they work until today. They collaborated from time to time. They prepare some documents, etc. But the problem is, I think, more important, who knows the document? For example, when I say about it with my students, when I say with my colleagues at the university, the professor, they didn't know also the documents. So it's possible to work, to collaborate, to produce some documents, but who knows it?